All right, here we go. It's been a while, and this is mostly just to correct that. I just haven't been on for a long time. Don't worry about the movie discussion pocket dimension. It's just on a short break. It's not gone. We're still going to continue on with that, hopefully pretty soon. And as for myself, I just haven't been able to get involved with much else over the time, including just doing something. So I thought this is the least I could do, something by myself. The standard live commentary. I've done a few in the past year. Nobody really watches them, but I don't mind. It's okay. I wouldn't expect them to. I don't give much notice or preparation, and it is just me. But I wanted to do something. It's just been so hot here. It's actually very nice outside right now. The temperature gets nice at nighttime, but unfortunately, that does not apply to my apartment. Probably can hear a fan, but it's really a necessity. It's one of the reasons I've been so unproductive when it comes to like most things that I've been trying to do lately, whatever they are, because it's just like if I'm not in front of a fan, I have no energy. The heat saps me. Anyway, people don't want to hear me blather on. The people I talk to have already heard me complain. It's just I don't know. Years ago, hot summers were you'd only have a few really hot days, and now it's different. And as I said, like if I lived in a different sort of place, and I don't mean city, I mean like house or apartment, I might even have air conditioning, or I might have like an angle that's favorable so that when it does get cool out and I open my window, some of the cool air comes in. But everybody I know has all heard me endlessly complain about how the breeze just doesn't come in. But anyway, so I've been wanting to do this for at least like last week or so, and every night I was just like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy. I can't sit in front of a camera and talk, which is pretty pathetic. Find the energy. So I found the energy tonight, and this is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald from the Harry Potter universe. I'm not going to say very little about that for the time being, because actually I have something rather large for that planned, and that will be much better than this. This will involve someone else too. It won't be just me blathering at you, and somebody who was also a fan of that universe and has some experiences and opinions on it, so that we can go back and forth. So that's coming up pretty soon. I mean, the next couple months, I guess. Things move kind of slowly. They're more busy than I am. They have other stuff going on, but I'll try to make it work. But so I'm starting in the middle. This is the middle of a trilogy, right? So these movies are sort of like Harry Potter prequels, although they don't seem to start out that way exactly. They're set in the 1920s, and eventually do feature characters that show up in Harry Potter all those decades later. Most notably Albus Dumbledore, who's just super old. And actually, while Dumbledore gets like name checked in the first Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, he's not a peer. It says his first appearance, I believe it's Jude Law as the young Albus Dumbledore, which fine. I don't know. I never really, honestly, when I read the books and stuff all those years ago and was watching, I never gave much thought to what Dumbledore might have looked or sounded like when he was young, because his character was, an old guy who'd been an old guy for decades. He's like 150 or 140 or something, like at the time of the first Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So this is the middle one, Crimes of Grindelwald, and it's kind of weird because, Harry Potter fan, read the books, and I saw all the movies in theaters. Mixed opinions on them, but still, mostly I can hear about more than that. But when Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was coming out, like I did not care. I felt like there was enough. The story had been told. I didn't really need to see more stuff in that world, and I didn't really know if it was actually going to pick up any of the larger threads. As far as I could tell, it was just about the guy who wrote the in-universe book of the same title, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It was just be about him trying to find, find these creatures and take care of them and whatnot. And it turns out there is a bigger story going on at first, sort of in the background, then taking over. But I just never liked the idea of Newt Scamander being our protagonist for these events. I didn't like that he got pulled into these things. The conflict between Dumbledore and the Dark Wizard, his former friend, Gerhard or whatever, Grindelwald. I just didn't think it was a good idea. But a lot of people, I guess, liked it. But at the same time, the movies didn't do very well. I think the third did okay, but the first two didn't do it. And this is the one everybody sort of criticizes. I think it's probably the least profitable of any of the movies set in the Harry Potter world, I think. It had like mixed reviews and not a lot of people went. And again, I didn't go. So I saw it like a few years later on TV. And for whatever reason, I do like it. I understand its flaws and, stuff that's people don't like about it, but I do like it, mostly because I am concerned. I like the character of Grindelwald. Speaking of casting, Johnny Depp had spent so many years just doing bad movie after bad movie, and I don't know. I felt like this was a really good role for him, and it's unfortunate that they recast him for the third. I'm not going to get into that whole mess of stuff, but I mean, I wish they had kept him for the third, and I've got nothing against Mads Mikkelsen. He's good. He's a great guy. But, we'd already seen him play sort of a dark wizard in the Doctor Strange movie. We didn't need to see it again. Speaking of which, the second Doctor Strange movie and the third one of these, Secrets of Dumbledore, they came out like around the same time. And I remember seeing them within a span of like a week at the theater. And I was just like amazed. And I was thinking, like, what do we take for granted these days? Like when it comes to like special effects and computer animation and stuff, like these movies are incredible. Like they both are full of magic and magical spells and incredible. Like the effects are mind blowing. And I almost feel like we've lost sight of that. We just take it for granted. But I mean, seeing them on the big screen obviously helped that too. But anyway, it was the middle one again, Crimes of Grindelwald. But mostly I like it because I like the character Grindelwald. I think he's a more interesting bad guy than Voldemort. He's not as crazy as Voldemort. He's not as bloodthirsty as Voldemort. He's ruthless, and I guess you could say evil. But anyway, we'll get into that as the movie goes, I guess. I don't remember it very well. I've seen it maybe twice. The last time I saw it was a few years ago. But I just rewatched, and it's the first one I saw. I had to go back and see the first one, Fantastic Beasts. So anyway, I watched Fantastic Beasts the other day, and I thought, hey, when I do Grindelwald, why don't I do a live commentary? Like, just finally get something up here. So that's what we're going to do. So I've got the movie queued up, and we can do a countdown. I don't think anybody's watching now, but for when you do this in the future, I'm sure you'll definitely want to do this with me. And we'll do a count, we'll do the 3, 2, 1, hit play, and we'll go forward. And then I'll do the thing where I always say, oh, I have to turn it down, my volume's up too. So there's stuff I remember about this vaguely, and stuff I don't. And yeah, there's no point doing any more preamble. We can talk about the things as they come up. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, hit it. I don't even really remember how this opens. So, see how that goes. Hopefully this mic is working okay. Because of the fan, I thought maybe I should break out the good mic, but now I'm thinking maybe the good mic is making it worse because maybe it's picking up the fan more than the normal mic would. I don't know. Wizarding World. Not going to talk about J.K. Rowling. I'll talk about her later some other point. This is also David Yates, the director, I think, isn't it? I think he directed all 3, plus he directed the last few Harry Potters. So he definitely has a sense of that world. So, I mean, one of the number one thing about American Ministry of Magic is it was nice to see the Wizarding World outside of Great Britain. So here we are, New York, 1927. At the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, they apprehended, kind of easily, mostly just because Newt surprised them, they apprehended Grindelwald. So they've got him here, and I know what's going to happen here. They're going to try to like move him, and he'll escape. I guess he's been here for a little while because his hair's grown longer. But since, might as well talk about it now, but the other movie, I thought one of the most disappointing parts of the other movie is that Grindelwald is featured heavily in the movie, but he's incognito for almost all of it. And instead is, using some sort of glamour or illusion spell, or I don't know, polyjuice potion, although I don't think so, to play, I guess, just a made-up person who's like an Auror at the American Ministry, like something Graves, who's actually played by Colin Farrell. And then in the end, like, finally it's revealed, oh, it's not, there is no Graves, it's actually Grindelwald. And he's been inside us the whole time. And I didn't like that reveal. I thought it would be better, like, if Grindelwald was going to be in the movie, I'd rather him be up front and in it. And I thought Graves was a good character, and I thought it would have been better if that was a real character that maybe had his own motivations, or at the very least was just like working for Grindelwald. I thought it was kind of lame to find out that performance was just simply a character in disguise. That can be a good twist in some stories, some movies, but I didn't like it there. So yeah, there's the whole thing. They're going to do like a prisoner transfer. I don't know where they're taking him. But I mean, as villains go, it's funny, like, Voldemort was supposed to be so dangerous and he did so much, but you never heard about, like, his effect on the greater world outside of, like, England, Great Britain, whatever, really. Obviously, he probably had plans that would extend it, but you never saw him do it. Whereas Grindelwald is an international menace. He's a problem in Europe. The Americans are well aware of him. The Americans, through luck, capture him. So, yeah, we're going to have a bit of a cool flying carriage scene and his daring escape. And then, of course, it's going to get back to Newt, who I don't care about. I really feel like that's... I mean, people will disagree with me, I'm sure, but I really feel like that's the main problem with these movies. I don't think Newt's a good protagonist. I don't like the idea of this, kind of weird... I don't know, call him zoologist, biologist, who's really obsessed with animal, magical creatures. He likes them more than people. He's awkward around people. We've seen that sort of character before, and how he just gets caught up and swept up at the center of, like, the most important stuff going on in the Wizarding World, and how Albus Dumbledore comes to rely on him specifically. Like, I don't like it. I think it's kind of dumb. Also, the other characters he meets during this, I don't think are that great either. But I don't know. There is still something I like about this movie. It has a nice darkness to it. I like Grindelwald. I like them peeling back and expanding the world a little bit more, showing us again stuff outside Hogwarts, stuff outside England. So already we've got the escape beginning. I don't need to describe it because you're watching it. How loud is that? Probably still too loud, right? It's a pretty good scene. Nice thunderstorm. It's like, it's the biggest thunderstorm of the year. Let's take that dangerous dark wizard out. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I know you could say, like, the weather's not a factor. Maybe not. There's a Fantastic Beast for you. Looks a little like a horned devil lizard. So I guess he's got, like, followers on the inside helping him is what's happening here. Now, are those Thestrals? So that's the other thing. Like, I get it. As the audience, as like an outside observer, we can see Thestrals. But the idea is, in universe, you can only see Thestrals if you've actually seen somebody die, which was introduced in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the 5th book, in a movie, and it's a plot point that after 4 years of being like most of the kids and thinking that those carriages that they travel to Hogwarts in from the train before they get to the lake were like just not pulled by anything. But you think in all that time somebody might have like at least bumped into one of them or heard them or something. But anyway, like most of the magical things that are like depicted in this world, if you pick at it too much, you're gonna find all sorts of problems. That's why like Harry Potter has a lot of, you could say, I don't want to say for sure plot holes, but at least theoretical plot holes based on various magical like MacGuffins and gimmicks that are introduced throughout. Because it's like, okay, this magical thing is good here. Like maybe the biggest example being the time turner. In the third one, we get the idea. We find out that time travel is possible with these devices called time turners, and yet it's used for a really mundane reason. Hermione has one so that she can attend multiple classes at the same time, which I was trying to figure out exactly. So Hermione has a schedule where she has 2 classes at the same time. Hermione attends the class and misses she chooses whichever one. She attends that class and misses the other one. But then she turns the time back, goes back, and her past self she leaves alone to go to the same class, and she attends the other. So there's 2. So what she's doing really is making it so that she's existing at 2 time, and that she's there's 2 of her in the same time frame. So I guess that updates everybody's memories. So I guess ahead of time, the prof who is marking her absent is, I guess, not marking her absent, because it's like, don't worry, when she's absent, you'll eventually, I don't know. It doesn't even matter, right? they can mark her absent, but then she goes back and changes history so that she didn't miss the class. I don't know. But anyway, the whole point is, and then it winds up being pivotal to the plot so they can, save Buckbeak and save Sirius Black. But then it's like, well, wouldn't they be useful in other situations? And they sort of hand wave that away. It's like, oh, it's a tightly controlled thing and blah, blah, blah. And the whole thing was you can't really change the past with them anyway, because they try to give you this idea that time's like a closed loop. Time travel stuff always hurts my head because there's not really any right or wrong way to do it since it's theoretical. But I'm not really a big fan of the closed loop thing. And they really reinforce it even more so than in the book, in the movie, like with stuff like, because the whole thing is like Harry's like, I was saved at the lake by somebody with a Patronus. I thought it was my dad, and he finds out I was saved by myself. It was my future self coming back in time to save my past self. And Sirius, it's like it always had. I knew I could do it now because I had already done. It's a closed loop, and they reinforce that with some extra stuff that's not in the books, like some stuff about like, hey, wait a minute, like when they're at Hagrid's hut, the people and the ministry officials are coming down and stuff like. So it's like, hey, wait a minute, we got to get out of there. They're watching themselves. It's like, how come we're not leaving? It's like, I don't know. Someone of them throws a rock, which had already happened. It's like that rock that like they got hit in the head with, and again, closed loop type thing. So they're trying to suggest, oh well, a time termer isn't really going to fix anything. I don't know. So what is going on here? So is this Lita Lestrange? She married his brother or something. Like his brother is mentioned in the first movie. I don't think you see him. This is Newt I'm talking about. And Newt was like Lita Lestrange. I'm so confused. House elves. House elves is a whole can of worms, isn't it? Slavery. That's Lita Lestrange, right? That's somebody. She wasn't in the first movie. She's talking about his brother. Isn't that what happened? Lita Lestrange, who he was like friends with at Hogwarts because they were both kind of outcasts. Her family being kind of like the Blacks, they were associated with the dark side, dark wizards. Yeah, that's her. But why is she here? I don't remember. Again, you don't see her in the first movie, but she's mentioned because he's got like her photo in his notebook or something. So there's his brother. Big, handsome jock. Theseus. Because remember, in the wizarding world, 99% of male names have to end in us. I mean, there's plenty of things, like if you're in the Weasley family, it doesn't seem to matter. Your father is Arthur. And then you've got Charlie, Bill, Fred, George, Ron, Percy. So no us there. Albus Dumbledore, Sirius Black. I could go on, but why? See, I'm already so uncomfortable, which is something I knew was going to happen, which is another reason why like I didn't want to do this for so long. Now I'm making myself do it. And I'm just so uncomfortable. Like, I want to tug up my clothes and move around. And, just... Right. So this must be back in England. Yeah, this must be the British Ministry of Magic, where they're interrogating Newt. Join your brother's department. Oh, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't like living in his brother's shadow, which is what he spent most of his youth doing. His brother was, yeah, at least this is an Auror. Now, in the first movie, he meets an American Auror, Tina or something. They kind of get a thing going. Yeah, that's the other thing. Grindelwald is a lot more subtle than Voldemort. Voldemort's kind of just like, I am the Dark Lord, join me or die. Grindelwald's kind of like, hey, listen to it. He's a little more realistic, like some of those people in history. Getting people to join their cause, Mussolini or whatever. All right, now they're talking about the character Credence. And this whole thing about what was Credence? I can't think of what that thing is. It's called something about what can happen to wizard children that suppress their magical ability. It turns and makes them into something crazy, and usually winds up killing them. Usually at a really young age. The whole thing is Credence, who's like, I don't know, how old he's supposed to be, like 19 or 20. He's played by Ezra Miller. You know, what the hell is that thing called? Eventually they'll say what it was, but yeah, but that's a big plot point in the first movie. The Credence, while you were thinking he couldn't be it, then it must be his sister because he's too old. You know, he's whatever the fucking thing is called again. It'll come back to me what it's called. I did watch the movie just a few days ago, and I can't remember. But it seems like is Grindelwald there just to try to recruit it? I don't know. Get it on its side because it's so powerful. I don't know. The whole thing is it's powerful, but uncontrollable. I don't know. I also really hate the name Credence. I don't like it for anyone, and I don't think the character looks like Credence, but that's a very small. There's also a weird revelation in this movie that people don't like about Nagini that we'll get to when we get to. So he turns down the ministry's offer to work for them, blah, blah, blah. They put a travel ban on him, which sucks for him because his main thing is traveling around the world to find various creatures. His brother says they are watching you. Could sit back just to move this back. Wouldn't want you to miss me. Oh, shit. Where are we now? Still in London? Looks like London. But Grindelwald couldn't just walk down the streets in London, could he? I like Grindelwald's look, too. I like his super pale hair, his weird eye. You know, he's never really described what he looks like in the books, except for where he actually appears in the final book, where he's like super old and crazy. And Voldemort kills him. That is his ultimate fate, is that he winds up in prison for decades and decades after Dumbledore defeats him. He never breaks out, never causes trouble. And then towards the end, you know, as a man of comparable age to Dumbledore, Voldemort finds him to try to find the Elder Wand, and he refuses to help Voldemort, doesn't care, and Voldemort kills him. But I'm thinking, could Voldemort have beaten him at the height of his power? I don't know. Grindelwald is quite powerful. I prefer him. I think he's the better villain. He's more interesting. Voldemort's just one of those. And it's weird, too, because people have heard me make the exact opposite argument, usually. Because especially when you watch, like, Marvel movies and stuff, often I've said, I've gotten a little tired of having bad guys that we're supposed to sympathize a little bit with, who are like, well, you know, they're doing bad things, and they definitely are the bad guys, but they have maybe good intentions, or maybe they started out good, and they have, you know, some good qualities. And I say, you know, whatever, the bad guys are just bad. And that's what Voldemort absolutely is, right? There's no redeemable qualities for Voldemort. He was never good. Even when he was a kid, he was crazy and wanted power and wanted to kill people that got in his way and all this stuff. And the idea with Grindelwald was, it seems like at one point he was just somewhat, misguided and idealistic. And that's why Dumbledore was actually friends with him and said, you know, shared some of his rather, I guess, I don't know if I want to say racist, but, you know, his beliefs of superiority, you know, the idea that the magical people should just rule the non-magical people, who they refer to really quite ridiculously as muggles in England, but over here they just call them no-maj, which makes a lot more sense. It's a good point. It shows how ridiculous the British really are. I can't remember what happened to that scene. I think they killed a kid, but I can't remember why. Again, he doesn't. It was necessary for some reason, and he didn't actually do it. One of his followers did it. I got to pay better attention because, again, I'm not 100% sure what is going on in the movie. I know the overall plot, sort of, but there's a lot of stuff that poor Muggle. Oh, looked out for a second. I hate hosting myself. No matter what I do, I can't improve. You know, I watch and I look like it looks pretty okay. But then I watch this later and I see that, oh no, it looks like shit. It really gets me depressed. I look at videos that I did with Jay and his is crystal clear and mine looks like crap. It really bothers me. I don't like looking like an amateur, but I can't do anything about it unless I move. And if I did move, I don't even know where I should move, at least within Halifax. I mean, yeah, if I move to, say, South Korea, no problem. They got great internet everywhere. All right, so here's young Albus Dumbledore having a secret meeting. Dumbledore has a rather strange reputation at this point in his life, too. He's already regarded as like a super powerful and super wise wizard, but I guess he's not as accomplished yet. So like a lot of people don't really listen to him. And I know the big thing here, and we haven't found it out yet, is like having been friends with Grindelwald, and it's actually heavily implied he was like in love with him, because there's like a magical reason why he can't go against him, and it takes a whole bunch of stuff, and not to the end of the next movie that they finally get through it. So they break some sort of magical thing that was like a contract, almost like a blood pact, saying that they couldn't attack each other, and they somehow overcome that. No, me neither. I didn't even bother with them at the time. I saw the third one I did see in theaters. The first two I didn't even bother with. I didn't care. But in coming back now, like I said, this is the one I like, even though it's the one that most people criticize the most. This movie is very appreciate the way they're telling the story. I feel like telling it, I said at the beginning, I feel like telling this through like Newt's point of view is stupid. Like the first movie I thought was just about catching monsters, but then you find out, oh no, there's this whole thing about Grindelwald and the state of the wizarding world and all this stuff like that. Yeah, see, I'm weird because this is the one I like. I saw this one first, and then I don't like the first one. I felt like they kind of got better. I like this one, even though, again, it's kind of incoherent. It's not that well done, and I just feel like the premise was flawed from the start. I never understood, like, oh, these movies are kind of Harry Potter prequels. They are going to tell about the struggle in the wizarding world when Dumbledore was young and his relationship with Grindelwald. So why are we getting it through the lens of Newt? And here he is having timestamp here. We're at 20 minutes and 20 seconds into the movie, and and here's Dumbledore trying to recruit him for his little secret mission thing. I'm like, why him? I admire you, Newt. Oh, it's because he doesn't crave power, right? Is that what you say? You do not seek power. Yes, I remember that much. I understand why somebody like Newt would appeal to Dumbledore because he's so innocent and all this stuff, but I don't know. He basically fluked his way through the first movie. He was just super lucky. And now Dumbledore's like, I like that. Can you do it again? Yeah, why can't you go? We don't know. He's not going to tell him. For some reason, my subtitles didn't come up on that line. Has to be it. But yeah, I feel like these could have been done where, Seekers of Dumbledore. It's pretty good. I mean, of the three, it's the least concerned with a bunch of beast nonsense and actually gets to the main damn plot, which is, the crisis in the wizarding world and what all the trouble Grindelwald's stirring up, because it's really about like Grindelwald. It's hinted at in this movie, but you really see coming to fruition in the third movie is like how much power and influence he's built up. Like a lot of people are on Grindelwald's side, and they're not crazy fanatics like Voldemort's Death Eaters. A lot of them are pretty good people that are just misguided that think he's making a lot of sense. I think Grindelwald is a much better character than Voldemort. And I think it's kind of too bad. Like, are we ever going to get the movie where he, this movie is 1927. I can't remember how much of a time jump there is between this one and the next one, but not much, if any. There might not be any time jump. Late 20s at least, right? But everybody knows it's been established since the very first book that Dumbledore took down Grindelwald in a duel in 1945. So that's a big gap. So there feels like there's more to be told there. They could do more movies. I don't know. But this trilogy did not do so well, and that's kind of made them think about not doing it. I don't know. I would just love to get those movies because hopefully they would have nothing to do with Newt and finally just have Dumbledore as the main character like we want to. Like, I don't think it's very cute that like Dumbledore is kind of just like a side character in the background while everything's about Newt. I think Newt is lame. And I don't particularly like the characters that are with him either. I do like the American friend that he made, the non-mage muggle, whatever you want to call it, the bakery guy. He is amusing, and he's going to be in all 3 movies, and he's going to play a fairly big role. But he's one of the only characters I like. I really don't like Tina. No, I like Tina's kind of bland. I really don't like Tina's sister, whoever she is. She's the one that the guy I mentioned falls in love with. Something that's established in the first movie and carries over into this is like, at least in the United States, they had stricter laws about like segregation, because like at the time of Harry Potter, it was no big deal if you were like a witch or wizard if you married a muggle. It was no big deal. But in these movies, I don't know if it's the time or if it's just the setting in the United States, that wasn't allowed at all, and that becomes a plot point because they're going to fall in love. But the whole thing is that they can't, and it gets really twisted what happens, and we'll get to it when we get to it towards the end. But it's a decision that she makes, and it gets really twisted because it doesn't seem to make any sense. Yeah, so these are the parts of the movies I have no interest in. It's him going into his like little bag or his area so he can look at the various monsters. I mean, they look cool. They're cool effects. They're cool creatures, but I'd rather just move the story forward. They do incorporate them into the movie somewhat. They always do. In fact, the third one really hinges on the abilities of a specific creature. It has something to do with their political system, if you can believe it. It's crazy. So where is this lake? I don't even know. I don't know where this is supposed to be. It's that whole idea, in the wizard, you open up a bag or something, or a box, and inside there's a huge wonderland. So he has like seems to have some sort of assistant that it can like babysit his stuff for all while he's gone. She's not in the other movies, or the first movie. God, I'm uncomfortable. This is exactly why I've been putting this off. I just feel like, ugh. Right. So he's supposed, so the big thing is he was supposed to have been obliviated at the end. The whole point was at the end, even though he helped them, being a muggle, non-mage, whatever, the rule was they had to obliviate him so he wouldn't remember anything. Yeah, you're supposed to be obliviated. But what's her name here? He says it didn't work, but I don't think that's quite true. I think she tampered with it because she's in love with him. Yeah, this is Tina the Auror's sister who she lived with. I think she's super annoying. And also, like, she's a legitimist or whatever they're called, the people that can, like, read your mind. But she just, like, goes around reading people's minds without their permission and acts like it's completely okay. She gets into conversations with people and then just reads their mind and says it back to them. And they're like, could you not do that? And she's like, oh, sorry. But then she just does it more and more. Like, to me, that's the worst kind of Queenie. Yeah. I get why they have a character like Queenie and a character like him, because not only is he a muggle and she's a wizard, but it's really emphasizing the difference between the movies in that they're very American. They're very New York with their accents and the way their slang and everything. It's a good contrast against sort of the stuffiness of the British characters what we're used to from the series. I get that. So yeah, Queenie, I don't know what the hell her job is. But her sister Tina is a big, serious Auror, and that's mainly what's going on for most of the first movie. Is like he gets in trouble for breaking some rules, and Tina's like chasing him down to try to like catch him. But yeah, there's Theseus. marrying Lita Lestrange. I feel like the Lita stuff doesn't really go anywhere, but this is the movie where they play it up. It pretty much disappears in the third movie. In the first movie, it's just mentioned. Lita Lestrange is somebody he knew at Hogwarts, obviously, and had some feelings for. But we don't see her. We just know she has a picture. This one, we see her. She's already talked to him. We find out his brother married her, and we're going to get backstory and flashbacks to Hogwarts, which is what I really like about the movie, because I like seeing that. I think this movie, if it's not either this movie or the next movie, has a flashback that has McGonagall in it, which messes up the timeline completely, because McGonagall is not that old. Like, she's old, but she's not Dumbledore old. Okay, Jacob. Okay, let's get our names straight. So our Muggle non-mage guy is Jacob. His memory is back. He remembers everything that happened in the first movie, so they're breaking the laws, they're breaking the rules, because he's not supposed to know about the Wizarding World. It is a little vague, again, because in this, it's cut and dry. You can't expose the magical world. If a Muggle non-mage finds out, you got to obliviate them or you get in trouble. But and you have the same rules over in Great Britain or whatever, except they'd be like, well, if you're going to start dating them, then that's fine, okay. Because I'm thinking, how many relationships didn't work out? Then did they obliviate them? Because that's really unethical. It's one thing if, a bunch of non-mages or muggles see some magical craziness happen, and then some Aurors come and be like, oh, we'll just get rid of that. Because it doesn't really remove anything important. It's like, they thought they saw some magical thing, but now they don't remember it. But they're still the same people. They have the same memories and identities. But if you had an entire relationship with, like, a magical person, and then had, they broke up with you, so then they just obliviated you and removed it, like that's fucking terrible. Jay and I were talking about something similar. It had nothing to do with magic, because the last movie we did on the movie discussion pocket dimension before we went on our little break there. Don't worry, it's coming back. Was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So a big part of that is removing memories and how ethical or unethical it would be to do such a thing. Yeah, so Queenie's very pro, let's get married, I don't care, the rules be damned. And even though he's the non-mage, like he's a little more cautious than she is. You can find your friends, find out, they'll throw you in jail. Because that really is the law at the time. They're really progressive here. No, it's... Oh, did they come over to England? Yeah, he must not have left yet. So yeah, that was a big... See, I'm missing so much. They're in England now. He hasn't come to New York. They came to England to see him, so that's what she means. They're really progressive here. Yeah, that show's just on a little bit of a break. It's not gone. We're just hopefully coming back soon, I hope. But I've missed doing it, and I've missed doing other things, which is why I'm stumbling along doing this. I know when I play it back, it's going to look like shit, and I'm going to want to delete it, but I guess I won't. But I just felt like I need to get in front of the camera again, and I need to get back in the swing of things. I watched a lot of movies lately, but I haven't been able to talk to anybody about them or anything. And I have that need. I need to talk to people about them, the things I watch, the things I play, the things I read. It's hard. And like this is kind of my outlet for it. I don't really have people around here. So, that's why I do the YouTube and the Twitter and the stuff. All right, so they had an argument, and she just teleported out of there. I know it's not called teleporting. It's called apparate. She apparated out of there. So what are we looking at here, Newt? Newt's looking at a postcard that got ripped up from Tina to Queenie. What sucks is Tina's not in the third movie at all. I don't know if it's because of something to do with the actress, but like she's like a major character in the first two movies, and then she's not in the third at all, which was one of the most disappointing things about the Secrets of Dumbledore for me. It's like I didn't love Tina. I think she's not like an amazing character, but I thought she's one of the core main characters in this story, and suddenly you just removed her. I can't remember what the reasoning is, but it felt really stupid. So yeah, it's a pretty messy trilogy. Like the recasting of Johnny Depp is not the only weird inconsistency. Tina Goldstein, that's right. So Tina and Queenie Goldsteins are two American witches. I don't know what Queenie is, but she can read minds. Tina is a very driven, very serious horror. And I guess that's the contrast again, is that Tina actually has developed a bit of a thing for Newt, who is a weirdo. All right, so that's Paris. I know because there's the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, I like that this moves around too. Is this Grindelwald? Is this a circus thing? There's a circus. Is that in Paris? I feel like it must be in Paris. Paris 100 years ago. Would have been so amazing. I mean, I'd like to see Paris now too, but Paris in the 20s? Man. Okay, there's Tina. Tina is Paris for some reason. And she just did that thing where she slipped from the normal world into the crazy magical world. Yeah, so we got a big circus thing going on here, and we're going to have one of the characters, not who you're thinking, from the Harry Potter universe. We're going to see something of their origin, and it's going to be confusing and depressing. Those bubbles look like fun. I want to do that. All right. So here we have a very attractive woman. And there's the name, Nagini. So Nagini, the snake, Voldemort's snake, was originally a human being. And this is where Credence is. Credence, who disappeared after the end of the first movie. He's here, and he knows her. And I guess she's in a cage. So right now, Nagini is just some sort of animagus. She's a human that can turn into a snake. But eventually, she's going to get trapped in snake form forever and just become Voldemort's murderous little pet. And it's depressing as hell, because here she is as an actual human being and not an evil person at all. Like, here she's not living a great life either. Like, I don't know if she's like a prisoner or what. There's a Grindylow. I remember some of my terms. That thing in the tub was a Grindylow. As mentioned in the third movie, he's one of the little magical creatures. Because our first magical creatures are in all of the Harry Potters, but in the third one, you get a lot, because that was a lot of what the third years learned in Defense Against the Dark Arts when Lupin was the teacher. Like, most of his teaching curriculum was teaching them how to take on various magical creatures, one being the Grindylow. There's a really good Hellboy short story, one of my favorites. Is he just called The Body or The Grave? I don't know. It's about him having to bury a body before the sun comes up. It features a little river monster, a lot like a Grindylow. Right. Yeah, soon she'll be trapped forever in a different body. He's not lying. That's going to happen to poor Nagini. Yeah, so she's not just an animagus. She's kind of like a werewolf snake, in that she can't control the change. Okay, so Tina's here witnessing this. I don't think she knows if Credence is here or not. Yeah. She's not taking her cue. Ringmaster Man's mad. I'm a little bit surprised, this sort of old-timey carnival freak show thing really works in the Wizarding world. I mean, they see crazy, that's just their everyday lives. It's like crazy stuff. Can you imagine them going to like a show to see stuff like this and being like, oh, wow, a woman turning into a snake? That's crazy. Like, you guys are all magical people. You know Animagi, you know spells. Okay, so hell's broken loose here. I don't know what Tina's here for. Is she looking for Credence? Is she here to shut down this? She can't be shutting it down because she doesn't have the, what's the word, jurisdiction. She's an American Auror in Paris. That sounds like a nice novel. Okay, she knows Credence is there. Okay. She must be just tracking Credence down. Credence, again, I feel like you could remove from these movies. He's kind of just, I don't know, he feels like window dressing. Or at least maybe by this point. In the first one, he had sort of a purpose. What the hell is that thing he is called? The whole thing about uncontrolled magical energy destroying stuff. I can't remember what it's called. Well, that's it for the Colonel. So I'll shut it down. So I don't think Nagini got away. Tina's going to interrogate our... Okay, so Credence is trying to track down his mother. Credence somehow knows his mother's alive and is looking for her. I can't remember if Credence has any sort of connection to Leta Lestrange or not, but there's some sort of thing about Leta Lestrange's family and backstory in this too. Who's this guy? Is he another or Yusuf Kama? I can't remember what his nationality is. I feel like if I get it wrong, I'll sound racist and dumb. He's the last male in his pure-blooded lizard line. Okay, so he has some sort of interest in Credence too. Cool skull. That's badass, Grindelwald. Yes, give me a Grindelwald scene. His name's in the freaking title. Right, so that's the thing. He's showing what Credence can become. It's not real, it's an illusion. But he's showing them that's what it looks like. Like this world swirling cloud and mass of dark energy that can destroy everything. So Credence's last name is Barebone, which is weird. Right, he has like an abusive parent, not a real parent. All right. So Grindelwald is still tracking him, I guess. He's the key to our victory. So yeah, he still thinks that he's very important. Say what he is again. Say that term. An obscurus? I want to say he's an obscurus. And it's this idea of a young witcher wizard that has to, for some reason, deny or hide their magical ability and never actually use it or be trained. It just builds up into this uncontrollable force that makes them really dangerous, and eventually it kills them pretty young. And that's why Credence is so different, is that Credence is far older than any known obscurus and far more powerful. And that's, what's going on in like a lot of the first movie. If he's wreaking havoc throughout New York, and Grindelwald, incognito as that other guy, Graves, is trying to recruit him. And how Newt gets tied into it is like Newt, a lot of his creatures got loose in New York, and at first the ministry over there thought his creatures were responsible for the destruction that Credence was calling. Great, I'm missing more important dialogue. Damn it. Right. So he thinks he needs Credence's crazy power to kill Dumbledore. Because right now, again, they're not explaining this, but eventually it's revealed that Dumbledore and Grindelwald cannot directly oppose each other. They cannot, I guess, employ offensive magic against each other. In fact, maybe they can't even have a fist fight, as far as I know the way it works. White Cliffs of Dover, baby. Yeah. Also, this part of the couch is all ruined. All the springs are here. I love this couch. I wish I could fix it. Yeah, don't tell her she has eyes like a salamander. That's not a compliment. Okay, so he's admitting to what's his name that he does like Tina. So somehow he knows she's in Paris and he wants to go see her. I can't even remember what Dumbledore told him he's supposed to be doing. I'm not watching the movie well at all. Right. So this is some way, some illegal magical travel, since he's not actually allowed to travel abroad. Oh, right. It's an unregistered port key. Remember port keys? Speaking of big plot holes, port keys, but we'll leave that for now. Just push him off the cliff. He shouldn't stand right at the edge like that. Come on now, don't let your 1920s homophobia stop you from holding hands. In the bucket. Signal looks good there, but it doesn't stay. But even when it's good, it doesn't work. Because I didn't bother this time because I didn't want to move a bunch of stuff and have to move my fans. But a lot of the times when you see me doing this, I'm not even using the Wi-Fi. I'm plugged in directly to the damn router. And that's what they always tell you. It's like, oh, you're having, connection issues. Do that. Maybe having that keeps me from losing it entirely. Like I can't get knocked off, but it does not improve the quality one bit. It makes me furious. Because again, if I could pay an amount of money to fix it, I would. But it's not. That's not the option. It's this damn building. It might even be this damn part of the city. Okay, Nifflers are an exception. I really do like Nifflers. They are great. A Niffler does stuff in all. He has his own Niffler, and he does stuff in all three movies. At least I think so. Or maybe I'm conflating some of this with the third one. I don't know. But I like Nifflers. Who can't like Nifflers? They're little kleptomaniac platypuses. I mean, they look hilarious. I do agree. And they steal everything shiny. They're like platypus kleptomaniac magpies. Because, yes, it's funny, it's like, I would love to have a Niffler. But when you think about it, no, a Niffler would, like, destroy you and everything around you if you had one. But they're just so darn cute and funny. Okay, so they've arrived. I don't know if they're using the Niffler to try to track somebody. Okay, so they're at the spot in Paris where that carnival had been. They all packed up and left, but he's seeing traces of it somehow, including the weird Chinese dragon thing. Not the Chinese fireball. Ooh. Remember that line delivery in Goblet of Fire? It's so weird. Where they're picking the different dragons for the contestants with the little miniatures. And when I think it's Crumb draws the Chinese thing, and for some reason Barty Crouch Sr. goes, Chinese fireball. Ooh, it seems really out of character for such a person. I don't know. They really mess up a lot of that, which, again, you might get the opportunity to hear about in better detail. Asio Niffler. Yeah, the nature of spells, just too many of them, just too many questions, right? Like what's the range on Accio? It seems to be crazy. Because again, going back actually even to that scene I just mentioned, Harry's big move, his way of defeating the dragon was using his broom. Now you can't have the broom with you, but as long as anything you do with a wand is legal. So what he does is he does Accio to summon his broom. And he summons it all the way from the school, and he's really far from the school, but it does come. So like, is that just like, again, what is the range on it? Does it have to do with the power of the wizard? Stuff like that. It's never made that clear, and I'm going to be babbling about it in other scenes too. Because whenever you have magic in any kind of movie, you need to establish rules. Okay, magic. So things that aren't possible in the real world are possible here because of magic. But you still need it so, like, you can't have absolutely anything can happen, everything, because that's just chaos, you know? You do need limits, you do need rules. The best way of doing that, besides outright stating them, is to, like, do it really gradually and sprinkle in. Like for instance, like the magic system in Lord of the Rings is barely talked about, but the way things go, you can sort of understand them as you pick them up over time. It's very subtle. Obviously, this is a world that's about magic, so the magic is not subtle. It's right in your face. Every people are flinging spells all the time. That's the whole point, right? There could be such thing as a witch or wizard who's much more powerful than they're letting on. They're holding back. That's kind of like Dumbledore, right? We know that Dumbledore is super powerful, but in the series, how often do we see him wield it? Almost never. Like, aside from that fight with Dumbledore at the Ministry at the end of Order of the Phoenix, you never really see Dumbledore cutting loose, but he could. And I think that's right. Dumbledore doesn't need to throw his weight around or show off or anything like that. It's always more effective. Plus, it doesn't fit with his character anyway. But this movie is not about how, there might be a wizard here or there, like in Game of Thrones or something, where it's very subtle, it's very down to earth, it's very secret, and it's very rare. The whole thing is everyone's a wizard. Everybody can do magic. And when you have that, that's why when you have in-your-face magic that is not subtle, you really need to establish rules. Or it's just, again, chaos. You don't understand, like, why did that wizard defeat that wizard? What was better about their magic? What was more effective about their spell? Or why is this spell better? This stuff does need to be explained. Otherwise, like, it feels arbitrary. And I know I'm giving a free preview of things I might say for Harry Potter movies, which we might. Is like, when certain wizards are fighting, I don't understand their spell selection a lot of the time. And the most obvious thing is, and I guess I'll repeat myself, and that's fine because nobody's going to watch this one anyway, so it won't feel like I'm repeating myself, is that when you have the big fight at the Ministry before Dumbledore and Voldemort arrive, where it's the Order of the Phoenix versus various Death Eaters, the whole point is the Death Eaters are willing to use lethal force. They'll kill their opponents. Something that's very noble about the Order of the Phoenix members is, even though they would be justified in defending themselves with lethal force, I mean, that's how most of society in the real world works, justifiable homicide and things like that. Like, if someone's going to kill you, you can legally kill them because usually it can be proven, like, that lethal force is, especially when you have something like a gun, right? Like, someone's going to shoot you, you shoot them. You might kill them, you might not, but it's self-defense and it's considered necessary. But anyway, something very noble about the Lord of the Phoenix members is, even though I think they'd be justified in using lethal force, they don't. Even though they have enemies using, it's a lot like when you read, like, superhero comics and stuff like that. Like, the bad guys, they're always trying to kill Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's not trying to kill them. He's just trying to stop them. It's kind of the same thing. But anyway, my point is, the big part of spoilers, people, is Sirius's death. Is Sirius gets hit by Avada Kedavra by his cousin Bellatrix Lestrange. That's the big thing. It's the only Avada Kedavra thrown in the entire sequence, and I don't understand why. Why don't the other Death Eaters try it on the other members? You don't hear it once, you don't see it once. The only time you hear and see it is when she executes it, and she executes it perfectly. And that's the other thing. It's supposed to be unblockable. So if it's unblockable, why wouldn't they be just using it all the time? The other thing is, like, it's powerful magic taking somebody's life. How much does it drain you? Can you just go, Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra, like, miss 14 times and then hit them the 15th time and actually kill them? Or will you just be so drained? I hate that stuff like that never really was explained. It just seems so weird that, like, in this fight where, like, most of the time they're so skilled that they don't even have to call out their spells, right? Like, that's the mark of a more powerful or a more talented witch or wizard, is that they can do it non-verbally. They don't necessarily say it, which gives, and you see that most of the spells that those guys are hurling, they are not vocalizing it. And then you just get Avada Kedavra and boom, somebody's dead. But yeah, I've always been annoyed that in the books and movies, that's not explained very well. it is explained, obviously, that it takes a certain amount of power to carry it out, but they don't get too much into it. I don't know. So I remember some of this. He's trying to find his mother, and he meets a French little person. Again, this is not a magical being. This is not a goblin or any sort of tiny. It's just a friend. It's just a little person, much the way Professor Flitwick at Hogwarts is a little person, by the legendary little person himself, Warwick Davis. Or Warwick, sorry, Warwick. You don't say the other W. It's Warwick Davis. Okay, so he and Nagini got away, so she's with him. He's trying to find out about his real mother, and she remembers him when he was a kid. She was the servant. Yeah, I remember some of this. But they're going to get like attacked in a second by one of Grindelwald's agents, I believe. So this is still Paris. We are at 53 minutes coming up on 30 seconds. 53 minutes, 30 seconds. Nagini senses something wrong. Boom. See, there. That wizard seemed to fire some sort of lethal spell because it was green. And the little person, I think, is dead. So he fired Avada Kedavra, but he did it without vocalizing it. Credence is already gone, though, I think. Or is he just turning into his Obscuros? There we go. Boom. Yeah. See, we just take, like, that's an incredible effect, but we just take stuff like that for granted now. And I mean, of course, I love practical effects, but that doesn't make me contemptuous of effects like this. This takes a lot of work and a lot of artistry. It looks great. So this guy is just he's fairly powerful. He's able to hold Credence off. There's Nagini. So he just apparated out of there. But how does that help? Aren't you supposed to be catching him? Blew the whole place apart. But yeah, Credence didn't kill her. That guy did. I keep want to say Death Eater, but he wasn't Death Eater. He's just some name. Don't have a name like Death Eater. Okay, so I guess Nagini doesn't talk. Now, is that again her condition? Did she used to be able to talk, but as she's losing her humanity, she's lost the ability to talk, and soon she'll, be a snake forever? I don't know. All I know is like adding this to the lore is really depressing. To find out that evil snake that was Voldemort's little pet that was just, kills Snape and kills that poor Muggle caretaker and is one of the Horcruxes, and we're not supposed to like feel anything for. And it's a big moment when Neville kills it and everything. Was actually an innocent witch who lost her humanity and lived for decades trapped as a snake. I mean, it's just depressing as hell. All right, so Grindelwald's selling his thing here to the guy that just failed. You watch over Credence and keep him safe. How do you keep him safe? For the greater good. That just reminds me of Hot Fuzz. I must have done Hot Fuzz on here. Did I? Is Hot Fuzz on my channel? I watched that movie. That's one of my most watched movies. I never get tired of watching that movie. Maybe I did Hot Fuzz on Jay's channel. I don't know. But ideally, this wouldn't be on my channel because when I host, it looks like crap. But, no choice. Get to the stuff about Lita Lestrange and her weird family. Because I can't remember exactly what's involved. I know that, again, there's sort of like a weird implied rape. Basically about somebody like using magic to, Okay, so there's the guy that talked to Tina about being distantly related to Credence or something. Yusef something. Again, I'm not sure of his nationality. They do say the country eventually. It's like some North African country. Because like originally when I saw this guy, I thought he was like Indian, like Indian. He's not. He's of some sort of African heritage, but not like Central Africa. Okay, now he's run into Newt, and yeah. How do they know that he knew? Yeah, because he spoke to Tina, and now they're asking if you've seen Tina, and he's lying, saying he has not. Oh, maybe he just didn't know her name. So he's not lying, he's just withholding some of the truth. I can't remember this guy's angle at all. I don't remember what he wants or what he's trying to do. I don't think he has anything to do with Grindelwald, but I could be wrong. It's been too long. I think he's luring them into a trap, but memory is fuzzy. Fuzzy on this one. My hair looks so dark. It's not that dark. Yeah, he's led them somewhere weird. Oh, the famous Paris sewers. Oh, this makes me think of Les Miserables. See Javert chasing Jean Valjean through the sewers. And there's Tina. They found her. So what? Why is she hanging out in the sewer? Oh, okay. So it's actually like a jail. Once Credence is dead. Okay, so he intends to kill Credence. And he's locked them up so they won't get in his way. So he intends to kill Credence, which I get. Credence is exceptionally dangerous. What's happening to this guy? That is strange. I don't remember what that means. As usual, she's not grateful at all that they came to help her. That's kind of Tina's thing. So he really just die in front of them? Oh no, they did something to him. One of his creatures? I don't know. He has that little green thing that helped him out. I'm looking at it, I'm missing stuff. Okay, so I guess they didn't kill him. They wouldn't kill him. Okay, Chinese dragon thing is loose. This is the obligatory, large creature causes havoc and Newt's going to use his know-how to subdue it type scene that's in all the movies, which I don't care about because I'd rather just get on with the plot. But what are you going to do, Newt? You got your suitcase open. It's kind of like the Ghostbuster trap. Ah, it's still a cat. He's got a thing for the cat to play with. It works. It is very cute. It's a Chinese dragon, but it's very, very much like a feline. I don't know how well that translates, though, because I don't feel like if, like, a tiger cornered you and you took out, like, a cat toy and waved it, the tiger would just become enthralled. There's a difference there. Tiger wouldn't be like, oh, let me play with that. Big cats are different from little cats. They do a lot of the same things, but there's a reason why you can't just have... Okay, so here, and there's the music, so there's Hogwarts. Here's 1927 Hogwarts, which looks a lot like present-day Hogwarts, really, right? So here's some Ministry people, including Lita Lestrange and Thaddeus, or whatever his name is, and other... Why are they here? I don't remember. They're here to ask Dumbledore stuff, probably, I guess. Anyway, it's Grace. Yeah, so there's Dumbledore, who is obviously not headmaster at this point. He is the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And here he is teaching a class. It's a mixed class, as we can see. They're all from different houses, which is not something you really saw in the movies. Sometimes two classes would mix. There would be times, particularly memorable ones where the Gryffindors and Slytherins would have the same class, so that Malfoy could cause trouble with Harry around. That happens a few times. This seems to be a Defense Against the Dark Arts class with students from every house. Maybe they just had a different curriculum back then. Yeah, see, Professor McGonagall is here. There's no way Professor McGonagall was a professor in 1927, if she was even fucking alive. So this seems to create some sort of continuity snarl. She's old. She ain't that old. She ain't teaching in 1927 old. Right. So somehow they're blaming him for Newt being in Paris. I don't know how they know that. I missed however they found that out. Oh, there's that Tycho Dodonis character again. Tycho is a great name, by the way. Not some made-up name for either. Comes from... It's like an Austrian, Swiss, Tycho Brahe, however you say it. You know who I'm talking about? Look it up. I studied him a little bit back in college. Obscurial, yes. Okay, they know the Newt's in Paris, they know Obscurial's in Paris, and they think that Dumbledore has something to do with it, and they're not wrong. And he's being coy. This is a little confusing. He says we want the same thing, the defeat of Grindelwald. But again, it's like, then why don't you, the most powerful wizard we've got, go stop him? It's like, I can't get into that, but I can't do it. Cannot confront him directly. So it shows even back in 1927, Dumbledore, the people at the Ministry did not like him, or like that's what the guy literally just said. He's like, I don't like you. That seems to have continued. Like he's always been a controversial figure in the magical world, at least in Britain, where he had lots of people that liked him and respected him greatly, but he always had people that the opposite. This is Travers. Is he the Minister of Magic now, or is he just head of the Auror's office? I don't know. Again, I keep missing details. Some sort of memory. You and Grindelwald were close as brothers. Like, it was a little weird. Oh, we were close as brothers. There you go. And well, there's being honest. Okay, yeah. Will you fight her? So what? He's gonna have to be evasive. I can't. Okay. Is he just gonna tell him why, or? Well, why don't you try explaining why you can't? Okay, that can't be legal. Well, they're gonna take his job, put him under surveillance. Where's Lita? We need to go to Paris. Oh, Lita went off, I think, just to reminisce about her time, right? Aren't we getting a flashback scene to when? Theseus, are you going to listen to him? I don't know. Theseus has such a punchable face. And yet no one punches him in this movie. See all the candles floating in the Great Hall. They're digital. In the first couple Harry Potters, they weren't. They were real candles hanging on fishing lines. Which I'll mention again. All right, so here's Lita, I guess, reminiscing. She had a hard time at Hogwarts. Because her family was a bunch of jerks. Yeah, okay, here we go. Flashback to... I'm not sure how old Lita's supposed to be. Maybe... I guess she's maybe in her mid-30s. So this is maybe 20 years ago. I don't know. But yeah, okay, so they're saying that Professor McGonagall was a professor even earlier, like 1918 or 17 or something. As we can see, she's a Slytherin. But even as a Slytherin, she's kind of an outcast. because her family has a bad rep. Yeah. So they're saying like McGonagall is like comparable in age to Dumbledore, but she's not. All right, so there she is meeting her friend Newt. So they're both crazy outcasts. Before there was Hagrid, there was Newt. Another thing I'll bring up when we do the movies, if we do, is like in the second movie you find out that Hagrid wasn't just a giant. He was a magical person. He had magical ability. He attended Hogwarts as a student. He's not just some weirdo because he's part giant. Like he had magic in him. Like his father, I guess, was a wizard, I guess. And he attended Hogwarts as a student. But then the year that he was framed for the opening of when Tom Riddle opened the Chamber of Secrets and caused those attacks leading to the death of one student, Moaning Myrtle, he was framed. And even though, and he was expelled, okay, fine. But they also snapped his wand in half, and that was the end of it. For the rest of his life, to the time he's an adult and meets Harry and his friends and everything, Hagrid is forbidden to have a wand or like do magical stuff. And I'm thinking he got expelled, and so they just took magic from him for the rest of his life. And yet, for some reason, like, where are these like Death Eaters that went to Azkaban getting their wands? Dumb people destroy. Wouldn't that be the first thing you do when you apprehend a dark wizard before you kick them into Azkaban? Is you don't just confiscate the wand, you destroy it. And I get it. Yes, you can find other wands and use other wands, but really, it's heavily implied that like your first wand or whatever wand you find first is supposed to be like yours and bonds with you. The wand chooses the wizard and all that shit. I don't remember what this is. This is part of the flashback. Is this the Boggart stuff? Because that's the other thing. Speaking of what Lupin did, it's the same idea. He's teaching them how to take on a Boggart, I think, and what. I almost want to back that up because I missed what the hell was. Oh, I remember. Yes, I remember what she was looking at. It's so complicated. I can't explain it. Watch the fucking movie. But yeah, her weird Boggart fear thing is really weird and dark and complicated. Again, we're still in the flashback right now. This is a flashback to Leta Lestrange when she was a student at Hogwarts. Big time outcasts. And there's looks like, I'm pretty sure Newt's a Gryffindor. That tracks. Or is he a Hufflepuff? I think he's a Hufflepuff. It's good. It's good to see something that's not Gryffindor-centric. Oh, I couldn't read that, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, those colors, I believe he's a Hufflepuff. It's a friendship between a Hufflepuff and a Slytherin. That's done decently well in the books. It's something they do horribly in the movies. They just sort of gloss over it. Like, even several characters that aren't in Gryffindor in the books, they just made Gryffindor students kind of like convenience in the movies, which I don't like at all. Or if they are from another house, they kind of like don't mention or downplay it. Like, a big part of Cho's character is that she's a Ravenclaw, and yet like I don't feel like they don't seem to really talk about it in the movie or anything. She doesn't play Quidditch or anything, which is annoying. Like, that's how Harry met her, was that she was the Ravenclaw seeker. But anyway, we'll save all that for the actual movies there. So here we are back in flashback over, and Dumbledore is talking to Leta. That's not something he tells people. Because she mentions, you can't understand my pain. My brother died. And she's like, well, it was for me. It was my sister. It's like Dick Grayson screaming at Batman, you don't know how it feels. And Batman's like, I don't know how it feels? Regret is my constant companion. That's a good line. Certainly relatable. I don't know who that actress is. She's very pretty. Yeah, they spend a lot of time on her, and yet I don't feel like she has much to do with the overall plot at all. She's married to Newt's brother. She and Newt used to be friends. She has this whole thing that we're going to find out about how her brother died. And yet I don't feel like it has much to do with the main plot at all. And I don't think she's even in the third movie at all. So I'm not sure why Queenie is at Grindelwald's place, but she is. French. Queenie's very American, all right. She's like, I don't understand you French people, even when you speak English. It's too confusing for my American brain. So I don't remember how did she track him down or she get invited here, but here she is, Queenie, meeting with Grindelwald. Oh, she's afraid of him. Okay, I guess she didn't know he was here because she seemed surprised and threatened. But so okay, so this is the weird thing. Grindelwald's whole thing, his whole deal, is he believes in the superiority of the magics, the witches and wizards over the muggles, the non-mag, and he thinks they should be on top and they should exploit them, and that open war should actually happen because they're like, we can't have war. It was like, no, it should. And that's his whole thing. He believes in the superiority. However, Queenie's position is I'm in love with a nomage, and my own society has laws saying that we can't get married. He's going to sell her in the society he's talking about loving freely. He's saying in the society I'm trying to build, that would be totally okay. Which doesn't really make any sense, because his whole thing is subjugate the non-mages. So is he just lying to her? I don't get it. Because it goes against everything he believes. Like, he wouldn't believe in intermarrying. He's saying, well, let's subjugate them, let's enslave them, let's beat them down. And yet here he's saying, oh, they're intolerant. If you follow me, you can do what you want. You can marry him. I believe in loving freely. Like, no, you don't. Hey, look, it's the mirror from the one. Show me what you want. Okay, so this is the memory of when he and Grindelwald made their weird little blood pact thing about how they won't fight each other. I'll give the movie credit. It doesn't shy away from looking pretty intense, like beyond being like friends. I'm not going to give Rowling any credit or anything because I do think she's an intolerant bigot. But at least they are finally like being honest about Dumbledore's sexuality, which doesn't come into much of his character. It doesn't, but it does come into Grindelwald because he was in love with him. It wasn't just we were brothers and we were friends. He was, as far as Grindelwald went, whether he's gay or not never came into it. It was just he didn't feel that way and he just sort of exploited it. That was a very large one. Why did you even go down there? Why is that thing full of chains? I don't know what's going on. Obviously, that's this whole deal, taking the chains off. We get it. You have a great rapport with these creatures. You're like the crocodile hunter. Except nobody killed you. Yeah, I never thought Tina was that attractive. She looks pretty good there, but she has sort of a very severe business-like. I'm not really into that, but I get that some people are. The unbreakable vow, right? So I say weird blood pact. I mean, again, it's something we've seen before. They made an unbreakable vow to each other that they wouldn't fight each other or oppose. Okay, so here's Mustafa or whatever his name is. They're finally going to wake him up, find out what the fuck his deal is. I know his deal is he wants to kill Cretans, but is there more to it than that? What is in his eye? Oh, great. He got infected with a parasite down in the sewer. That's lovely. So we're currently at an hour and 17 minutes, coming up to 20 seconds. There's still quite a bit of movie to go. This is the longest movie. It's not long, but it's over 2 hours. I don't understand how people define long in movies anymore. It feels like attention spans have gotten shorter. It feels like anything over 2 hours is long. I never thought of that. Like, I would think at least 2.5 hours plus would have to be long, like a whole extra half hour. But I mean, if people like it's like 2 hours 5 minutes, I'll hear them say that's long. And one of the things that I see is always really popular, like on Twitter and stuff, is always the person that just says it or writes an article or whatever that poses the question, like, whatever happened to the 90-minute movie? I don't know. It didn't go anywhere. There are still lots of 90-minute movies, but people act like there aren't. I mean, I get it. Like, if you want to see something like a Harry Potter movie or like these big franchise movies, they are not 90-minute movies. But I mean, there's still plenty of 90-minute movies. I feel like a movie just it needs to be as long as it needs to be. If a movie feels too long, then that's like an editing problem. But I mean, if a movie is good, but you just thought it was long, I was like, well, then it needed to be that long to be good. I don't know. I can think of lots of movies that are over 3 hours that I think are great, and I wouldn't take a minute out of them because I'd be like, it just needs to be that long. And how many movies hit theaters these days that are over 3 hours? Like, it's very rare, and yet I don't know. It's just a weird misconception. People think movies are longer now, and that 90-minute movies have disappeared. This is not true. What has disappeared is the mid-budget movie. Like, everything's either like massive budget or like a fairly low budget. Like, a mid-budget movie in today's money would be like, probably between 40 and maybe $80 million budget. Like, those movies exist, but there's not many, and they don't usually do that well. Like, obviously budgets have gone insane, and like, you want to make any kind of movie, it's got to be at least $100 million, and nowadays they're getting closer and closer to $300 million movies already exist. Like, the Justice League movie was one, and there's been probably at least a couple others, like maybe Avatar or something. But yeah, the mid-budget movie, which used to be everywhere, disappeared sometime in like the 2010s. Again, didn't disappear, but there's a lot less. A movie like, say, Knives Out. Knives Out is a rare example of like a mid-budget movie that did very well, and a lot of people saw. Let's see if I look here. Ooh, something shipped. Yay. Hey, there's Credence. We haven't seen him in a long time. You see that Credence is not a bad guy. Here he's feeding a little baby bird. Oh, Nagini can talk. I mean, she said one word. She said his name. Okay. So they have been found by Grindelwald. I like how Grindelwald dresses, too. He's got a good style. See, Voldemort is the one that makes her a snake and keeps him as her pet. Grindelwald's not going to do that to Nagini. I mean, he says, what do you want? I'd say, what I want is to, get this curse off her so she won't turn into a snake and lose herself. Yeah, so I know he's going to hold a rally. That's kind of how the movie ends. He's going to hold a big rally to, talk about his plan and his beliefs and everything. And they're invited. It's very nice. Père Lachaise. Okay, wake this idiot up so we can finally get to the bottom of who he is and what he's doing. What's wrong with you, Jacob? Don't tell me you have a parasite. That would suck. Parasites suck enough. Imagine magical parasites. That's a whole other level of nightmare. Hey, is that Flamel? That's Flamel, isn't it? That's Nicholas Flamel. Let's see. This a weird looking guy. Alchemy. Yeah, that's in there for that's Flamel. So again, this is sort of a callback because this is the guy that invented the Philosopher's Stone, which is the big MacGuffin of the first Harry Potter. It's the thing that Voldemort's trying to get his hands on. Yeah, Nicholas Flamel. It's kind of weird too because like when that movie ends, it's like, well, that was a close one. Better to just destroy the stone so no one can get it. Flamel Rose, he's lived long enough, so he'll just die. Because here, this is 1927, and Flamel's already like several hundred years old because of the stone. It's a weird pull that he's in this movie, but I guess it's okay. We need an alchemist, I guess. He said Dane. Ooh, a crystal ball. That's refreshing. Okay, so they can see Credence and Nagini. Queenie cannot hear you, you idiot. The Lestrange tomb, cemetery in Père Lachaise. So yeah, it seems like the Lestrange is really important. Same family as the psychopath Bellatrix. But this is long before Bellatrix's birth. So you're an alchemist, but you also can see the future? I'm confused. Usually these people have like one deal. What's that book? Oh, I love books that look like that. Oh, I love holding a book like that. This book is some sort of way to communicate. Happens in action in 200 years. Yeah, getting uncomfortable again. I'm not gonna make it. Fuck. It's nice and cool outside, but you don't feel it here. It sucks. Newt, you're so annoying. I hate that you're the focus of this. So there, Newt has, I guess, used Polyjuice Potion to impersonate his brother so he can get into the ministry or wherever the fuck they are. Ooh, it gives him an... That's the real one, isn't it? Right, and they have reason to think that Credence could be her dead brother. It's not entirely true. I can't remember. We're going to find out. But yeah. I know I'm a broken record, but the whole Lestrange stuff is weird the way it fits into the plot. Looks like a scene from Brazil. I mean, how good would the Harry Potter movies have been? At least a couple of the early ones, if like Terry Gilliam had done them. I mean, I got no issue with Christopher Columbus. He really did nail it with those first two movies, sort of the aesthetic and everything. But still, I feel like Terry Gilliam could have done well too. Quite a complicated relationship. Oh, hilarious. Come on, Tina. You're at least as good at an aura as he is. Maybe better, because she subdued him kind of easily. What is this room? I can't even remember why they're trying to get into here. I don't know what they're looking for. Something cool. Oh wait, this is different. This is somebody else in a different place. I didn't follow that scene transition at all. The tomb, of course, yes. So he's like, we got to get to the Lestrange tomb in the cemetery. It's all going down tonight. Jacob's there by himself, nobody with him. That's not good. Jacob doesn't have magic. He's brave, I'll give him that. He just wants to find Queenie. Right, so is the secret meeting down below? Yeah. Yeah, and of course he's immediately caught. Good job, Jacob. This is Leo Lestrange. She's white now. Oh, is he? Hit the silent alarm. I don't know what she's doing. So this is the French Ministry, I guess. This is the French Ministry of Magic. And the British ones are just temporarily set up here while they blah, blah, blah. I don't know what they're looking for. And I don't know how... Oh, no, I get... Yeah, okay. Don't need to finish that thought. Still, I don't know what they're looking for. Oh, shut up. God, he's annoying. Oh, he's clearing up the whole thing about how the magazine said he was marrying her, not his brother. Her by Lestrange. I'm not here to win her back. It's you I like now. Duh. If you say like a salamanders, I'm going to kill you. I'm not supposed to say. And this is like their first moment. It's this far into the movie. Because, I mean, at the end of the last movie, it's clear they're both into each other. Because, like, I could come see you. And she's like, yeah, I like that. It's, very cute and innocent, even though they're, acting kind of like junior high kids. But this is the first time they've actually kind of had a moment, even though they've been together for a while, without anybody else around. Like, unlike the other movie, Jacob is not with Newt very much at all. Poor Jacob just went off on his own and was immediately captured. Salamanders? Oh, she said it for him. Well, that she could say it for him proves that she is perfect for him, I guess. I don't know. Relationships are still a mystery, whether they're fictional or otherwise. I really don't like the shipping in the Harry Potter world. We'll be talking about that. Okay, so that French person never trusted them. Again, really nice effects here. Looks great. Looks really cool. What is that letter? So is this Lita? You'd think I'd be able to recognize her by now. She's had a bunch of scenes. Must be. Can't be just some random person I've never seen before. That would be weird. Records moves to the strange fan. Oh, now so she's going to go to the tomb. Everything's happening at the tomb. Cool. Oh, you've seen that thing before. Well, you're found out. How unfortunate. Are you an Auror too? You do something in the ministry. I don't know if you're an Auror. Dean is an Auror. Thaddeus is an Auror. Oh, those are cool guard cat dog things. I don't remember this at all. Wow. They are terrifying. Yeah, I don't remember them. They're pretty cool. Oh, he just said what they were. They are spirit familiars. Ooh, stupefying doesn't work. Makes them multiply. Stupefy. Did you say multiply? I thought you said multiply. Yeah, and speaking of lethal force, like nobody's throwing Avada Kedavra around. They're like, well, you're trespassing here, so we'll just, unleash a bunch of magical nightmare cats on you. That'll work out well. If you aren't seeing this, you won't understand. But trust me, they are nightmare cats. I got it right. But of course, here comes the Chinese dragon cat to put them in their place. It's kind of like that scene in Beauty and the Beast where the beast fights off the wolves. Or, keeping with the Disney theme, The Lion King, where Mufasa fights the hyenas. See, I know this looks cool and all, and it's exciting, but I don't know. I don't feel like this, again, fits the movies. I don't feel like this should be part of the story that's being told, which is really about Grindelwald and Dumbledore and the Ministry and the state of magic. And I feel like this stuff about Newt and the various magical creatures just feels shoehorned in and out of place. In the first movie, you get it because that's what it's about, but then you find out the bigger plot kind of in the background. And now the bigger plot is taken over, but Newt is still here dicking around with magical creatures, and I just find it kind of annoying. I don't know. But they really stick with it. I mean, in the third one, which is called The Secrets of Dumbledore, they're still like, Newt's still going to zoom around and play with a bunch of animals. Yeah, so let's go back to the tomb. Who's Kama? Okay, Corvus. Who the fuck is this? Is where I start getting really confused. So Yusuf sees Lita. The others show up. What? So that's his little sister, even though he is much darker than her. But I think it's because they're half siblings. I think they have a different mother. There's going to be a flashback explaining this. And again, I'm not trying to tear the movie apart by getting into how genetics work and be like, if they're the same family, how come they're a different shit? No, I think I'm not trying. Like I said, they are going to say what nationality he is. I remember guessing wrong. What is that place? Please say it. So Yusuf is her brother. I think half brother. I think they have different mothers. Senegal. Okay, so his father was a Senegal wizard. Senegalese, however you say it. She was also right. That's it. Okay, yeah. So he's Senegalese. Both his parents are Senegalese. Both from pure-blooded wizard families. But his father. Ah, that's what it is. Strange, a white wizard on his mother, and yeah, so she is half. She's European and Senegalese, but she's kind of the product of more or less rape. She died too. Okay. Seek revenge how? Who the fuck is Corvus? Oh, I'm getting lost. He never loved you. So you were considering killing her to get revenge for your mother. Oh, Corvus. Okay. So they're all like half siblings. Those two have the same mother, but then her father, the evil rapist wizard, married somebody else and had little brother Corvus, who was the. And they think possibly that he would be that Corvus is actually Credence, but she's responsible for Corvus's death. I guess he doesn't know that yet. Oh, does that mean that little person was a real elf? Oh, I thought it was just a little person. But now they're saying she was a half elf. Fuck. This is where it really gets confusing for me. I am following it, but it's hurting my head. Yeah, there's a whole thing about ship sinking, which goes back to the thing with the Bulgar seeing like a sinking, like white sheet. Because I know the whole thing here about the ship. She was on the ship, it sank, and she wound up killing her brother. But you think he's Corvus, and you must have. There you go. Corvus the Strange already did I killed him, which is true. I can't remember exactly why he was so certain that Credence was this Corvus. Yeah. So she's the link between them. Corvus is her half brother, same father. Mustafa is her half brother, same mother. Oh, there's some of the family tree stuff that we saw, only recording the men. It's like the black family tree. Little Strangers were and the blacks were close. In fact, they're related, right? Sirius and Bellatrix were cousins. This is all kind of interesting. The problem is it doesn't really have anything to do with the main plot. It's just some stuff that's happening at the same time. It's like plot adjacent. I know what you're going to say. Well, that's subplot. True, and lots of movies and stories have subplots. I just feel like this is kind of just a complication that doesn't really change or affect anything else, I guess. It explains why, she's kind of so moody, but I don't know. Like, none of this has shit to do with Grindelwald, is kind of what I'm saying. You're sick of your crying, brother. So, yeah. Switched him out. And then he went. Switching babies is always a great idea. To the lifeboats. It's a good thing to live with. Switching babies. That baby's sinking like a stone. What's weird is that's like the thing she sees in her fear in the Bogart, but she didn't dive into the water, so I don't know how she saw it. Whatever. Oh, hello, Shiva. Sorry, I've been babbling myself so long and expecting anybody else to show up. We're at pretty far in. An hour 42, 15 seconds. We just had the flashback about how the real Corvus died and how it's all her fault. And I was saying this is all interesting stuff, but it doesn't really have any bearing on the main plot. Why would she know who Grievance really is? Okay, so he was the one that was swapped. Makes a certain amount of sense, but again, it just seems like more of a weird coincidence than anything relevant. Nagini's there too, saying nothing. He's been stumbling around. He doesn't even care. By he, I mean Jacob. He doesn't even care. He just wants to find Queen. Okay, finally, the big rally. Big rally is going to happen. Woo! I got a pain in my foot. This has just been one disaster after another, and the heat and the stickiness, and I've been so uncomfortable, and I'm shifting in the. People don't want to hear my complaints. I'm just saying. We're finally into the part of the movie that I remember most clearly. Okay, so yeah, so Nagini can speak. Okay, she just barely ever does, but she speaks just fine. Yeah, I'm just so depressed. I want to go back in time and save Nagini from her fate. I don't want her to turn into a snake who just becomes a weird, murderous pet for Voldemort. It sucks. No, wait. They're going to tell. This is pretty cool. He, basically predicts that World War II is going to happen, and it's a bad scene. But that's kind of weird, too, because, World War II is big enough that, wizards would have to have been involved. One thing I never really understood about, at least the British wizards that you see in the Harry Potter is, almost all of them seem to live off the grid completely. It's like Britain has all these subjects they have no idea exist. Look at the Weasley family. They don't have a cable hookup or electricity. The mailman doesn't know they're there. It's like they're just living off the grid. The government has no idea they exist. And they're a family of 9 people. And it's kind of inferred that a lot of wizards live this way. And it just seems impossible. Okay, all the players are in place. And we're going to have our speech, which is pretty good. I like it. Like the clothes. You look pretty sharp, Grindelwald. Well, that was weird. Somebody came in and said hi from India and left. Don't ask me how the internet works. If you're in India, it's like the morning for you. It's still August 4th here. A couple hours. I'm going to shut up and just listen to the speech because I like it. To lean forward. Huh. Even though he's speaking English, he still says Les non magiques. The nomads, the muggles. We get it. Everybody. The can't spells. That's pretty funny. Everybody's got a term for it. I get it. I think he doesn't hate them. It sounds like he's doing that separate but equal thing. That didn't work out so well. It doesn't seem that way because there's a bunch of you in this room. It's a pretty good speech. You can see how it would tempt people. It's actually a lot less blunt than what somebody like Hitler would have said. Again, I don't think he's like the monster that. And again, I'm comparing a real life horrible dictator that perpetrated the Holocaust against a fictional villain. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's too comparable to a Hitler. Like, he never had plans for like fucking genocide, which I think Voldemort eventually, that's what he was going to get around to, right? Like, if Voldemort had gotten the other wizards to follow him and stopped all his opposition, he would have been like, all right, next up, genocide on those muggles. There's his little secretary. It's like, I'm going to smoke my cool, badass skull hookah thing and show you all something very cool. I like those pants she has, too. They're very French. I don't remember the term for them. There. Here's some visions of the future, and he's not wrong. Look, tanks and planes and the technology that doesn't exist yet, blasting Europe into a destroyed hellscape. He's not wrong. It's coming. Oh, and there's your big finale, an atomic bomb. 2, actually. 2. 1 was bad. I'm not gonna get on that, but why fucking 2? 1 was horrible enough. The second one really necessary? Well, we had to. By had to, I mean we had to. See, everything he's saying here isn't wrong. He's predicting World War II, and he's right that it's happening. But it's kind of wrong to blame all humans for it. There were a lot of people that were not responsible for it. I mean, you can't put World War II on one person. I mean, if you want to, Hitler, sure. But, I mean, some conflict was coming, but I mean, still. Niffler's out and about. I'm babbling too much. People don't pay too much attention to me at this point. I've lost the plot. I've lost the thread. I'm talking about real history versus this fictional wizarding history, and I'm getting a bit loopy. I do a lot better when I have somebody to bounce off. On my own, it's just unfiltered chaos. But it was important. It's important because just haven't done a commentary of any kind, solo or otherwise. I wanted to get something up, do something. I felt like watching this movie, and why not blather on through it? Subject everybody to it. At least briefly. Some people were with me earlier. Nobody ever makes it through the whole thing. Now, Dumbledore did tell them, if you go to this rally, don't try to break it up. Don't try to arrest Grindelwald. But they're not going to listen. Truth. Because those are big words you can use. If you want to like get a crowd on your side, whatever your goal is, if you blather on about the truth and you blather on about freedom, people are like, yeah, he's talking sense. It was like, no violence. Come on now. Let's be civilized. And what does any of this mean to Lita anyway? Like, again, she doesn't seem to have the same stake in this other people do. It's just this weird side plot that, like, oh, I thought he was related to me, but he's not. Because I actually killed my own brother by accident by being a jerk. Was that an Avada? Were the Aurors just killed? Because, yeah, that's not very good publicity for them. They come in and kill somebody while he's talking. Yeah. Talk about falling into the bad guy's trap thing. It's not we who are violent. I mean, you stupid Aurors totally fucking backfired. Nobody listens to Dumbledore. You know, there's this whole thing about a weird magical fire. There we go. I even like his, again, it's something I have to give Johnny Depp credit for. Like, he's an actor who, like, the gestures, the movements, they're all there. It's good. That was very stupid. Like, why would anybody do that? You know, like, I mean, these are wizards who should definitely know better. But you know, a non-magical person sees like crazy magical blue flame. Oh, I'll just run through it. Well, Newt, what are you gonna pull out of your bag now? No, that's spreading. Okay. Unstable internet connection. Fuck off. So what? Credence is considering joining. Which is well, Grindelwald's like, he's like, you just want to use me. But now it's like, he makes a good argument. I'll go. And now Queenie is actually going to say, I'm going to leave you, Jacob. He wants what we want. Like, no, he doesn't. Do you think anything about that whole separate but equal stuff meant, oh, yeah, we can get married? I have no idea why Credence is won over by any of this. It's all been for you, Credence. Because I get it, yeah, he needs Credence to use his crazy power to stop Dumbledore since he can't fight him directly. He's like, I can't go with you, Queenie. You're crazy. He's not right. You're going to follow this crazed magic dictator guy? So I guess it's you can go through the blue flame as long as you don't have any intentions to hurt him or attack him. I don't know. That's weird too. She disapparates before him, so how does she know where to go? Just get the fuck. Yeah. See, those Aurors are disapparating outside because they're just trying to get the fuck out of there. But Queenie was inside with Grindelwald and disapparated. Did he like whisper in her ear and tell her where to meet, or I don't know. Ah, finally bringing up Dumbledore. Yeah, I think it's a real shame that Johnny Depp couldn't be in the third one. Again, nothing against Mads Mikkelsen. He's a great actor, a great presence, and you can totally understand him being cast in the role initially. But I got used to this. I like this. And that's another thing that kind of sucks about the first one, because he spends the whole movie incognito. So instead of Grindelwald, we have Grindelwald pretending to be a non-existent Auror as played by Colin Farrell. I like Colin Farrell fine, but you know, he's not Grindelwald. So I guess the whole thing is Leah is like an outcast, so she might as well join him. We're at 155. And honestly, we're pretty close to the end because I know it says like 213 here, but remember, a lot of that running time is actually just credits. Long credits from movies like this with all the digital artists and stuff. Like, is that a big moment? I love you, but I'm going to go with him. Oh, she tries to. Yeah. Oh, I guess he's going to kill her? She's doing a heroic sacrifice for like no reason. Again, I don't understand her motivation. I get maybe it's just like, you know, somebody has to stop Grindelwald, but I don't get why it's her. See, he killed her, but again, it wasn't Avada Kedavra. It seems like there's lots of ways to magically kill somebody, and you don't necessarily need Avada Kedavra to do it. I mean, some of it's obvious. I hate Paris. I mean, cast a fire spell and burn somebody to death. That works. And plenty of indirect ways. Cast a stunning spell and knock them off a building or into the water where they drown. Oh, Jacob, you did not do anything useful in this movie. You just sort of stumbled around. Like in the first movie, despite being a muggle, without magical power and being newly introduced to this crazy world, he does a few useful things. In this movie, he really doesn't do anything useful. He just blunders around trying to find Queenie. And then Queenie's like, come with me. He's like, you're crazy. And he loses her. There's Flamel. You're kind of a little too slow, old man. Oh, when he said I hate Paris, he really meant I think I'll just destroy Paris with my crazy blue flame as it manifests into crazy winged creatures. This is impressive. This is a good bit. I like this. I'm thinking of people like that saw this in the theater at the time. Like, were they not entertained? Were they disappointed? I mean, I get it. There's some convoluted stuff, and as I said, a lot of the stuff about Lita was strange, especially like she just seems plot adjacent to me more than more than plot necessary or part of things. But you saved Paris so that the Nazis can come destroy half of it in 10 years. Not quite, but this has been a trial. Not, I mean, I enjoy the movie and stuff. I've just been really uncomfortable. I'm going to have to take some steps and precautions for the next time so that I won't be feeling this uncomfortable the whole time. What, is Yusuf helping them? I mean, he's there. I guess he might as well. At this point, it is self-preservation, right? If you don't help, it doesn't matter. We're all going to die. I do like that. It's just a concentrated efforts of a bunch of different wizards working together instead of like Newt doing some ridiculous stuff with a monster. I mean, I think Flamel was key to it. They needed him for some reason. He knew what to do and how to do it. Nagini, I don't know what she is. She doesn't seem to have a wand. She didn't take part in that. She just hangs out. But again, it's just so depressing to think what Nagini's ultimate fate will be. She seems like a good person. Credence, she was in captivity in like a weird freak show. Then Credence was her only friend. Then they were free, and then Credence abandons her to go off with the crazy wizard dictator. Yeah, I just feel really depressed about her whole deal. And chosen my side is a weird thing for him to say too, because it's not like there was any point where Newt was like, "He's talking sense. I want to go with Grindelwald." Like he always understood Grindelwald was the enemy and had to be stopped. But I guess he had to say something to his brother. Oh. What the fuck? I hope that wasn't a gunshot. Yeah, you heard it too. Camille heard it. It's just one shot. Hogwarts once more. The bridge that would be so important. Nagini's with them because what else? Where else can she go? Why is that? Yeah, I don't hear any sirens. Ah, that's right. Nuremberg Castle, Austria. That's like his base of operations, as we will see in the next movie. Which I will probably not do on here, but I just want to do something. Queenie's with him. I mean, a lot of people recruited to him, so why is like Queenie specifically there? Like a lot of people are on his side, and it almost seems like Queenie's like become some sort of like right hand man. Like why? Queenie's not even smart. I guess she's good to have around because she can read Credence's mind. Maybe that's the thing, because he wants to know how to what are the right things, what are the right buttons to press, what are the right things to say to Credence to keep him on my side. Lita, fuck, who cares about Lita? Again, she died. It's over. Okay, it's a little harsh saying who cares, but I just mean I'm not sure. Yeah, plot relevance. Lead packed. Wow, Newt, you're a lot smarter than I thought you were. Because yeah, he's the first person to figure it out. They did like an unbreakable vow thing to not fight. The Niffler got it. Because even Dumbledore was surprised, which doesn't happen often. What? What does that even mean, Grindelwald? I mean, Newt. Well, at least they took that weird shackle spell off him. Cup of tea time. We're English. Spit spot. Tea and crumpets. What? Tuppence a bag. Damn. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, the brother. Yusef. Does he show up in the third movie? I don't remember that. Well, no, we are over the 2 hour mark. 2 hours, 4 minutes, and counting. Your family. Oh yeah, so he's saying, yeah, you actually aren't related to those people. You're related to Dumbledore. But I don't think that's true. But that's how this movie ends. Like him saying, Leah Lestrange. They thought you were Lestrange, but you're actually a Dumbledore. Aurelius. I'm pretty sure this is bullshit. He's not. I don't even know what he's trying to sell here. Like Aurelius Dumbledore. So what would my relationship be to Albus? Way too young to be his brother. He's pretty good with a wand. So that's how it ends, because it's like, oh look, Grindelwald's got the super powerful guy on his side. Blah blah blah. I don't know. It's a messy, convoluted movie. There are times I wasn't sure what's going on. The whole subplot thing about Lita is interesting, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the main stuff that's going on. I don't know. I still like it. Mostly, I really do like Grindelwald. I like Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. I think Grindelwald's a much cooler villain than Voldemort, and I like Johnny Depp's portrayal. And I'm disappointed that by the third movie, he was, because of various controversies and things, he was recast. Again, I like Mads Mikkelsen, but I was almost gotten a little tired of him because he's been in so much stuff. I don't know. I'll watch the next movie on my own time sometime. I won't drag anybody into it. I just felt the need to do something on here, and it might be a little preview of something better to come, better than what I'm doing. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. But I appreciate anybody that showed up even for a couple minutes, because I don't know. I didn't give really any notice I was doing this to anybody. And I know people are busy and blah, blah, blah. And hearing me mumble on myself about a movie is always an interesting, particularly something like this. It's not like when I was doing, some of like movies I know really well, or maybe some martial arts movies where I can at least give some interesting facts and stuff. It's just a random stream of consciousness about various things in the Harry Potter universe. I don't know. Yeah, next time it'll be something cooler. For sure, but I just really felt the need. I had to get something. I haven't been on camera in a long time, probably not since the last episode of Movie Discussion Pocket Dimension, which, as I said, is just on hold for a little bit. It is not gone. I wouldn't even call it a hiatus. We're working to get back. It's taking a little longer than we wanted. And apart from that, I hope to be involved with some other stuff. I know Jess, who was talking to me earlier, he's invited me to do a few things with the channels he's involved with, and I couldn't make it for a couple things, but I mean, hopefully at some point I'll be able to join one of those and make myself useful. These are cool credits too. We're not going to watch the whole credits. I will let you go in a moment. I just feel like we get to that point where they say the David Yates film. And... No, okay, well. And Finn. So yeah, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for anyone who tuned in. And hopefully this won't look as horrible as I think it probably does. I don't know. I won't delete it. I'll keep it. What the fuck? I don't know. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. And I'll see you next time with something better, I'm sure, on this channel or elsewhere. Keep your eyes peeled. Peace out. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Good night. Good night.